All right. This channel. Before we start talking about the serpent here, let's understand the connections that the Sumerian record has to the Hebrew record, the Hebrew theology. It seems that many of you who, have a Christian perspective are completely oblivious to the fact that the Bible has within it Sumerian records that have been compiled, rendered, and applied to Hebrew theology. You're oblivious to it. Even though the Bible will tell you itself that it hails from the very same lands in its beginning, the Edenic lands known as the Fertile Crescent, which has become further known in history as the root of civilization, Mesopotamia. And then that's where we can enter into the archaeological evidence that supports who these beings were that gave us the civilization, and they would be known as the Anunnaki. So, the ancient story of Genesis as it takes place within the Fertile Crescent is the very same location that the beginning takes place from the Sumerian account of this record of the beginning. One and the same. That's the first thing that you need to begin to solidify in your mind, is that the Bible's beginnings are actually told to you in further detail within the Sumerian record. There is something known as the Enuma Elish. It's a collection of tablets that records the beginning. The Enuma Elish literally means epic of creation. It means basically the same thing that Genesis means, the beginning or the creation of the beginning. So if you can see that, you can understand now that the story about these fallen sons of God matches the same identity as these ones that brought civilization to mankind from the Sumerian point of view, known as the Anunnaki. Now, Anunnaki does loosely translate those from heaven to earth they came. You will see people refute that loose translation and claim that it states something concerning princes that came, or princes of the earth. Well, whether you realize that or not, that translates to the very same thing as a son of God. God is the king. A prince is someone who inherits a portion of his father's kingdom. A prince is a son of the king. And if God is the king, a prince is a son of God. So Genesis 6 clarifies these beings as sons of God, even fallen sons of God. So we have the fallen princes, or the fallen sons of God, is the very same historical account in the Sumerian record. That's why it seems that many of you don't understand the stories of the Bible as well as some others of us do, who understand the Sumerian account and can see the similarities between them. So I highly recommend that you familiarize yourself with the fact that the early Hebrew record and the Sumerian are pulled from the same information. The deities and the characters, the agendas are all the same. Now this is where we'll come back to where I said in the earlier video that Enki translates back from Nahesh, which translates literally into serpent. Enki represents the devil, Lord of the flowing waters, or Lord of the abyss, Lord of the underworld, are all title definitions for that name Enki. It just so happens to fulfill the same title definitions for the Hebrew version of the devil, or Apollyon. Apollyon is also a king or a prince of the underworld. Leviathan is another symbolism that's associated with this devil of the underworld, and Leviathan is known as the water serpent or the water dragon, the very same translation that Enki is. He is the Lord of the flowing waters, which translates back to serpent, in other words, water serpent. So there's no fighting that. What we need to do is understand. I'll be back.